Lights, camera, bin bags.
Lights, camera, bin bags.
So this is the first podcast episode. So
Oh, this is the first one.
the very first.
I'm honoured.
However, we may edit it that it may be the third. So we will see. We'll make sure it's the first now. So there's not really any structure to the podcast. We're just going to be very informal, chatting, more business, marketing, less training, nutrition. Because there's so many podcasts out there like that now.
Yeah.
And there's people out there that are far more intelligent than me about that subject. So I'm going to let them people
Definitely.
speak about that. So this only consistent with each podcast is this. I write and draw on fitness with the goal of making all this training and nutrition stuff simple and easy to understand. I also have a knack for telling people to stop fucking around. Most people love me for it. Some think I'm a fuckface. Decide for yourself. When did you write that? When was that last updated on your website?
Oh man, a year and a half. Actually, ages ago. I can't even remember.
Is that consistent?
Would you say it's consistent?
I would say it is. Do you feel like you need to change or add to that after hearing it?
It will be changed because my website is currently being redesigned. So a lot of the copy will be changed. It will be very similar in tone because that's just, that's who I am. That's what people associate Physiqonomics with. But it won't. I'm not sure right now. I mean, I haven't thought about it. So
you don't want to be held accountable whether fuck face is going to stay or not.
The fuck face is always going to stay. That's going to be a mainstay.
As long as that stays and the other words can change slightly.
Yeah.
So, and then the most important question, why 2 A's?
My parents going to spell.
Yeah?
I know. It's actually, it's just Adam with 1 A. But because, it's the internet and you have to be different in your special, unique snowflake way, I just added an extra A on because they look cool. And it looks different and it works because everyone
stands out.
Yeah, everyone I get message, when someone signs up for an email course or email list or whatever, the first thing they'll say is, also, why do you have 2 A's in your name?
Okay, so you get that a lot from the email list.
I do, yeah. So it's a common question, which means it did the trick.
You've done it because even today when I was on the stories, it's like the great Ali.
Yeah.
Aadam Ali with 2 A's.
Yeah. Actually, fun story. I actually said that once to a woman in Starbucks.
2 A's.
I just felt like being a pretentious fuckface, and she looked at me like her face was just.
Right, seriously?
Like
you're making
I
me
could
write
give
2
zero
A's?
fucks right now.
Yeah.
About the additional A in your name.
Yeah.
And she never wrote it. It was just ADAM.
She didn't listen.
So it's not good customer service, to be honest.
So now you don't go Starbucks.
And I still go Starbucks.
Oh, you still go Starbucks.
I'm a fucking sellout.
It weren't that much of a...
Starbucks has my soul.
That's it. And is that just because of the brand Starbucks? Because they don't do the best coffee.
I mean, I enjoy their coffee, and to be honest, I just enjoy coffee in all its glory. I don't, all coffee lives matter to me. So, no, actually, the reason why I like Starbucks is just when I was first building Physiqonomics, there was a local Starbucks near where I was staying, where I lived even. And that made me sound like I was homeless. A little place where I was staying.
They let me in. It was warm.
Yeah, and so I went to Starbucks to get coffee every morning. So that was actually where I, used to go in the morning, write the content that, in the early days especially. So I think it's just, there's something very nostalgic about going to Starbucks and, and remembering those early days when I didn't have the audience I have today, and people didn't really give a fuck about what I was saying and stuff. So, and Starbucks has that vibe that
they got the brand, haven't they?
Yeah, it's just like when you walk into a Starbucks, I've never felt the same. That vibe they have. It's very welcoming in terms of you can sit down, you can work, and I haven't experienced that vibe from like a Costa or like a Pret. Though I have to admit, Pret does probably have the best coffee.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
So it's talking about that, like the customer experience from that, as you said, that feeling of not only, because I try and work in coffee shops sometimes and I just feel like I need to buy like 10 coffees if I want to stay here because it just feels uncomfortable.
Yeah, to be honest though, these days I haven't actually worked in a Starbucks for a while, probably a year and a half now. It's just, there was a weird period where I went in one day and I realized that I just wasn't able to focus. Like the little things were just, very distracting. So then I just decided to work from home and it just felt a lot better. Like, just myself, I can sit there for as long as I want. There's no, distractions. There's no, noise. It's nice and quiet. So I very rarely work at a coffee shop now. It's mostly just in my apartment.
So let's go back to when you was first born. No, we won't go that far. But when was the time when you thought, right, I want to have a career or not a job as such, but you want to be in the fitness industry? When was that? When was that time?
Like a lot of people will, when you ask most trainers this question, or people who coach or whatever, they'll give you like this, this spiel about how passionate they are about training, and but for me, it wasn't really like, I loved training, like I loved, the process of going to the gym and exercising and learning about nutrition, learning about how to train properly, but it was more just a case of me needing to do something. So when I was 19, I dropped out of university, and I actually didn't tell my dad. My dad's like first generation, super militant, basically would have fucked me up. And I was terrified of telling my dad that I dropped out of university. Not so much the fact that I actually done it, but more so the fact that, here's a guy who's come to a new country, from his home country, and he's worked, at one point he was working 2 jobs to make sure that, his children could have a better life than he did. Yeah. And I think that guilt, of him having worked so hard for so many years, and me being his oldest son, there's like a lot of responsibility on me to do well in school, to do well in college, and then to do well in university. And I think that a lot of that fear was more so just that guilt. Like I didn't want to tell him, or I was putting off telling him because I knew his reaction would be more so, that you let me down. And so for an entire year, I was going into university, I was going to campus, and I would just walk around. I would just, my friends who were in like a year or 2 above me, I would just go and hang with them. And when I wasn't there, because I'm so lame, I was in the library reading or something. And then, once the day ended, I would go to the gym. That was probably my favorite part of the day at the time. And just so that my dad knew that I was following some sort of, schedule day to day.
Routine, it weren't blatantly obvious.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you still in bed at like
1 a.m. or 1 p.m, sorry. And clearly, as much as I thought I had thought this through, I hadn't, because one day, sort of, during summer, my dad stomped into the room and he was like, "What the fuck is this?" Yeah, my dad also swears. So, so what the fuck is this? And I was like, the hell, what? And it was a letter from the university basically telling my dad that, I had not attended one
single lesson.
Well, I had
maybe one or
attended
two.
a few, yeah. But I hadn't passed the year because I hadn't done any of the work. And then I had to sort of tell my dad, like, this is what, I'm not going to go to university. And he was disappointed. He was angry. I think for 15 minutes, he berated me on all the reasons why I need to go back to university. And I just said to him, look, I'm not going back to uni. Like, I don't want to spend the next 3 to 4 years of my life, doing something that I might not want to do. And he basically gave me an ultimatum. He was like, look, listen, you either go back to university at the start of the new term, which is, 3-4 months away, or you're dead to me. Like, you can leave. Because, in today's day and age, it's very, it's not that big a deal if someone drops out.
Yeah.
It's more acceptable. But, you're talking almost like 10 years ago. And back then, it's, especially when you're dealing with someone who's like first generation. And in addition to that, every single person in my family, especially the children, have gone to university. My cousins, they've gone to university, they've got degrees,
like you're bringing shame on our family, your younger brother or sister.
I mean, my younger brother is like a lawyer
you.
now, right? So he's like crushing it. And so it's like, so I was the first person in my entire family to drop out of
go against the grain. It's expected.
Exactly.
You grow up, you do your GCSEs, you get your grades, you go to college, you go to university, you get a degree. And then once you've got a degree, people with a degree make more money. There's stats, everyone's got, you've got a degree.
And that's basically what it was. And, and also it's just one of those things where I think my dad just wanted to feel good about the fact that, look, I worked hard for X amount of years, and because of the fact that, it gave him purpose in a way. It gave him purpose that all the sort of hours and, the hard work that he put in, it was paying off in the fact that he was able to give his children a better education than he had, or an education at all even. And then for them to go on to become a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, right? So when he said that to me, it was, I was like, fuck, what am I gonna do? I'm like 19, can't be homeless.
Dad?
And
serious? What was you studying? Someone actually asked on one of the questions.
It was like
on Instagram.
Oh, did you ask people like to what?
Yeah, questions.
I never saw this.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it up near the end. We do like quick fire.
I actually was studying business.
Yeah.
Typical, but so that happened, and then it's like I was freaking the fuck out. I was like, fuck, it's like I either go back to university and hate it and not want to do it, or. And the thing is, he was so obscure about what does dead to me mean? What does you're out mean? Like,
yeah, like, can you give me specifics?
Yeah, but I was also very terrified to go back and ask him for specifics. So
I'll let him cool down a little bit.
Cool.
So
I'm
you
out.
mean dead? Do you mean you're actually gonna do the deal, or like
am I actually
I
out the
don't want
house,
to talk to
or
you
like
for the
am I
rest
just
of
not
the week?
allowed in like certain parts of the house?
Yeah.
So, I know he basically, So then I said to him, look, I came up with like a fantastical idea, which was I'm going to tell him that I'm taking a gap year. I'm going to tell him,
It means I need time to discover myself.
Right. I'm going to tell him that I'm taking a gap year. In that year, I'm going to tell him that, I'll get a job so I can save for university, being responsible. And then I'll go back, a year from now. The next, once the new year starts, I'll go through and, resume education. And he was, a bit, he probably didn't believe me, but, he acquiesced. He was like, okay, it's a responsible thing to do. Cool, what are you going to do now? And then I don't know how, but for some reason, like he just came out. It was like, I'll do personal training, like
So he actually proposed that?
No, he didn't say that. He basically he asked me, okay, so what are you going to do? Where are you going to work? And I was to him, and just it was like a subconscious thing.
Yeah,
maybe.
Like, I've been liking going to the gym after pretending to go uni.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'll just go personal training.
Yeah, and I spend when I'm not in the gym, I'm sort of learning about different exercises, how to perform exercises, learning the biomechanics of the body, learning about nutrition, etc. So that's what I'll do. And cool, he was like, fine. And then I went to, do the personal training course and found out I really enjoyed it. Like, it was learning about having like a structured environment where you're, you're getting taught. It's not me sort of browsing the internet and looking on bodybuilding.com. It's more like,
there's a curriculum,
there's a curriculum. You're learning things. You're actually practicing. You're going into the gym floor. You're learning how to train a client, how to regress a movement or progress a movement. And I just the whole thing, those 6 or 8 weeks that I lasted, I just loved every single day. It was interesting because as much as I didn't want to go back to uni, like the education part of the personal training course was something that I really loved and like I thrived in. And I passed. I got 100% on my PT score, and the mentor that I had, the tutor, he was like, this, you did. This is probably one of the best like performances I've seen, and he's like, I really do think you're going to do well. And
did he give you a business card?
Yeah. And join my mastermind.
Join my mastermind.
For £999.
6 figures in 6 seconds. Go.
And so, and I was like, no, and I think when you're that age, like any encouragement, like any,
you're like, oh
yeah, you're like, okay,
people feel good. You're like,
especially
oh
when
my
you're
god,
young.
he said I'm the best he's ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, I probably
wasn't. Like, he said, it's like you're the best I've ever had. Wink,
he probably
wink.
has that. He probably says to everyone. So, but no, it really motivated me to sort of go out into the real world, put on my big boy pants, and also to give me like some purpose. Now, like I knew what I was aiming for. Like before I didn't know what I was going to do, and I really enjoyed that the whole process of training people. So then, and then I got my first job, I think 2-3 months after that, and now we're here.
So it's good because we're going through the story, and that's what we want. We want the podcast to be a little bit more about you and how you got in to where you are now. So you got your qualification. You said you got a job a couple months after. Where was that? What was it? Fitness instructor, personal training, bit of both?
So my first job, it was for LA Fitness.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? We should back up a little bit because I made that seem too easy, because I spent the 2-3 months going from interview to interview to interview. It wasn't like, I just got the job straight away. Traveling all over London and, North London, so like everywhere, just trying to get this job at LA Fitness. And then I got my first job at LA Fitness in South Kensington, which has since closed now. It's now Pure Gym, I think Pure Gym, one of the premium clubs. But that was the first job I had. I started as a fitness coach. So, just...
What's your salary?
Oh man, like 14,000 per
I started
year.
off 12,900. And because I had a degree, I got an extra like £500 bonus per annum. And
yeah, it's ridiculous. Now that I think back on it, like, you know, I was still living with my parents then, like my dad anyway. So
yeah, I'm actually getting some money rather than having to pay to go
rent.
uni.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And at university, what was the fees then? Because when I was there, it was like £1,000, just over £1,000.
Yeah, I think it was.
It's not like these £10,000 per year.
Yeah, I can't even remember what. Honestly, I can't remember. Like,
and was dad paying for that?
No.
You got a student loan?
No, I didn't even get a student loan. Like, this is how inept I was with the entire process. I was just like so, you know, nonchalant about the whole thing, and you know, that's one of the reasons why I actually didn't want to go to uni. I think a part of it was just I don't want to be in, like, you know, X amount of debt by the time I leave, and also the fact that I actually needed the money to pay through university. So this is why I think my whole argument of I need to go get a job, because if it was a case of him paying for it, he would have been like, well, I'm paying for it, so fuck you, go back to uni.
Yeah, you gotta go.
Right. But because he wasn't paying for it, and it was all on me to, you know, sort of support myself and, you know, pay for it, etc. That's why the argument, it was more, you know, it was a stronger argument.
Yeah.
So I was making like 14k per year, just doing, you know, cleaning, gym equipment, you know, bagging towels,
inductions, programs.
Yeah, and
walking the gym floor. Did they have a swimming pool?
They did.
Did you get tests? Yeah, I remember them.
Yeah,
every 2 hours.
Yep, and those things, man. Pool tests, and then I actually didn't really I was like underperforming, but a lot of it was just because I sort of felt I was a lot better than the job.
Yeah.
Right? As you do when you're that age, you're like,
because you got a level 3.
Yeah, I had level 3s. Like
why am I doing fit instructing? Because you're probably looking around and you're going, there's this person training, like, I'm better than them. And I think,
you know, it's one of the things where, like, when you, especially when you're younger, it's like, you know, you think you're the best at everything. Like, you know, I could be better than that person.
I got 100%.
Yeah,
my tutor said I was the best he ever saw.
Yeah, exactly.
In the whole
world. But like. And so there was a sense of entitlement there, and my manager at the time, Alina, who I still have, you know, so much respect for. You know, she was like one of my first mentors in the industry, and I still have, you know, a lot of love for her. She basically just pulled me into her office because I started getting really rude to members. Like I would be on, you know, covering reception, and a member would ask me a question, and I would say, I don't know, or you know, it's like one of those.
It's a dumb question.
Yeah, it's a stupid fucking question, man. Go buy your damn protein shake. You know, just like, and I just felt like I was better than the whole process, and I just need a reality check, you know. So my manager Alina, she pulled me into her office and was like, look, you're being a dick. Like, you know, members are complaining. You know, I've been watching you. You're not doing what you need to do. You know, you have an attitude. If you don't fix this, you're out. Like,
you're like university.
It's like, oh fuck, shit, yeah. And so it was just one of those things where it's like, if I get fired, you know,
what am I going to do?
Yeah. And so after that, you know, after she sort of said that to me, I sort of got my act together, and then I sort of went, you know, over the top for members. I started, you know, working even harder, and within, I think, 3 to 4 months, they promoted me to senior coach. So, you know, you have like normal fitness coach.
Now I'm on 17.5.
Yeah, now I'm on 16k per year.
Like,
so I got promoted, and
so just that one conversation with her being like, look, Adam, you're a 19, 20-year-old kid who thinks they're entitled. You pretty much know, like, you're just starting out.
Yeah.
Like,
and
know yourself.
Yeah, and I think you need, you know, and this is why, you know, you need people like that in your life.
Who ain't as scared to tell you you're being a dick.
So you're fucking up, basically.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I think we're living in this whole culture now where we're so we're so afraid to say things to people.
Don't say anything. You'll hurt someone's feelings.
Yeah, exactly.
You never know what they're going to do.
Yeah. And so it's like, you can't even have, you know, a conversation these days in case you say something which, you know, could be perceived as potentially offensive, right? But, you know, she was one of those people who really down to earth, you know, really modest, you know, really hardworking, smart, obviously, but at the same time, she knew when to put her foot down and be like, look, do you need to do what needs to be done, or you're fucking up, sort it out.
Yeah.
And so by having her there to sort of guide me, sort of mentor me, you know, teach me the ropes, essentially, it helped a lot, because then once I started doing a lot better in my senior coach role, you know, she saw you know, as you probably know, a part of like working in a gym, you have to sell supplements to members. I don't know how it works now, but back then, you know, we had like
targets.
Yeah, we had like Elliot Fitness had a partnership with Maxi Muscle, so we had to like protein tubs and stuff. And so every time a client or member would come to reception and be like, I'm buying a £3.50 ready to drink. I'd be like, did you know that you could save £5 if you buy a tub of protein?
You get 25 servings.
Yeah, and then and apparently I was really good at it. I was really good at, you know, slinging protein shakes. So my manager, you know, as she saw in passing, she must have noticed something. So she pulled me, you know, to office one day and she said, hey, you know, like, you're doing very well on the gym floor. You know, I've seen you sell. You're very persuasive. How do you feel about, you know, working in the membership team? And the reason for that was because they wanted me to learn as much as I could about the business so they could put me forward for like a deputy club manager role.
Yeah.
And so she was trying to teach me the sales side, the fitness side, you know, how to talk to members, how to, you know, handle complaints.
So you've got all components of,
exactly.
So if someone walks into the gym, go to the sales team, they give you a tour, they book you in, and
so
then
you know,
the gym induction.
so that was just like another part of the process she wanted me to learn. And I was like, okay, cool. So then I started getting into sales. Turns out, you know, I was, again, pretty good at selling memberships. I got promoted to sales manager at the club, and then, you know, was like top 3 in the region, sort of, since I was there, like the 8 to 10 months I was in sales. And then I left LA because I think near the end of my sort of tender there, Alina left, like she got another job somewhere.
Yeah.
And when she wasn't there, I didn't get along with the new manager. So because we used to clash heads so much, I just, you know, it wasn't a very productive environment with me. So
the old Adam started coming back, the one that Alina brought into the office.
And, you know, so a lot of it was like that thing of like, well, you're a new person and I've been here longer than you. Also, I'm the one who's doing most of the work, like bringing the sales and stuff.
You're getting paid more than me.
Yeah.
And I'm,
So it's like, so, you know, it's like, so one of the things where it went from being a very, you know, like me really liking my job there, like really enjoying being at that company, you know, working, to me sort of not wanting to be there anymore, like that resentment, you know, towards managers and etc. So around this time, then I left. I actually started working for Equinox. So Equinox, I think they only have one club right now in the UK in Kensington. I was one of the first sort of sales members to come in to help them, you know, sell the memberships before the club was even ready to, you know, view. So in case, you know, if you don't know, it's very hard to sell something using like models. Like we actually had to bring like a, you know, like an office space and it's like 5 salespeople, and every time a member comes in, you're like, hey, look at this gym, which is going to be your gym one day, but not yet. This
cardboard thing that we just created. Exactly. Look at these photos. This is what it's going to look like, sort of.
Yeah, and that's so, it was, you know, and to be honest, like I sucked at it, you know, like I just wasn't good, like, you know, and back then, you know, it was hard for me to admit that back then, but like looking back now, you know, I just couldn't cut it, you know, like I think a lot of the sales process was different at Equinox, you know, the clientele was different. Yeah. And I just wasn't good enough. So I basically got fired. Though they didn't actually fire me, it was more of a...
The door's open.
You know, it's like...
You can go.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, bye then. And then but also I was kind of burned out from the whole sales thing, and I really wanted to get back to personal training. Yeah. And then I started, you know, went back to where did I go after? I think it was Gold's Gym in West London. So I worked in Gold's Gym for a few months, and then after that, Alina got back in touch with me, and she said, hey, you know, what are you doing now, etc. And I was like, oh, you know, I'm working at Gold's Gym, personal training. And she said, well, I've got this new job opportunity for you, which I think, you know, you might be interested in. And we met, and she said that it was for a telesales, you know, for I'm not sure if you heard of the company FitPro. Yeah. So they sell like they do like PTA Global, which is like another personal training course. So actually between that time, when I was actually working at Gold's Gym, I was also doing the PTA Global course, which is like more of like an advanced like biomechanics and stuff. some of the trainers there the mentors there were, a bit too weird for my liking. Like, I mean, one of the master trainers there, quote unquote, he was terrified of chewing gum because of the aspartame, like the artificial sweeteners. And I was
and
just
there's
like,
me drinking my Pepsi Max.
yeah, I was just like, okay, that's a bit freaking weird, but whatever. So, and then I think, but again, telesales just wasn't for me. Like, I just wasn't motivated to sell on the phone, and just
like you're trying to get back into the personal training.
I was trying to get back into personal training.
You're like, it's sort of the same thing because it's within personal training. You're like, but it's not.
And it's like, and we had to go to a lot of like events, and I'm super introverted. Like, I hate going to events and stuff. This is why I will never go to Body Power. Like, it's just not something that I'm interested in. And any fitness events where there's just a lot of people, like I know a lot of people go to like these fitness events for marketing reasons. It's just not for me. Like, I really don't give a fuck.
Networking.
Yeah, not for me. Not
it's
for me, mate.
It's hard to network when everyone's naked.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things where it's
like, right, mate, you ain't seen you. Yeah, I can see everything.
Yeah. But a part of the job was going to network, like going to these events and selling the services. And I stayed there for a year and I just couldn't do it. Yeah. And then I found EFM, which was early days. I can't remember how I came across you actually. Oh, I think it was because you had the Alan Aragon thing in
conference.
Yeah.
Or the online fitness summit.
I think it was the Alan Aragon, one of those online things, and my back is really itchy. Fuck.
Itch it out.
Yeah. And so, and I remember,
so you didn't do training for that long then, like training people.
I mean, when I'm telling the story, it doesn't sound like it was that long, but it was when I was because when I was actually coaching in LA Fitness as part of the senior coach role, I was personal training too.
Training people at the same time.
So when I think in the grand, when I'm like telling the story, it does seem like I did a lot of sales stuff.
Yeah, it's like sales. But there was that
a
longer period of time where you're fitness instructor, fitness manager.
Yeah.
And alongside that, you're doing fitness manager, looking after staff.
Right.
And then also doing your own PT.
Yeah.
To bring up that shitty little salary to bring in some additional money.
And so it's one of the things where it was like, and at the time, like I said, at the time, it does essentially just come down to what's going to pay you more money, because you can talk about being passionate and stuff, but then if you can't pay the bills,
so I'm passionate at playing Call of Duty, but there's a hell of a lot. Like, my son is better than me at Fortnite, and he's 7.
Yeah.
So it's like when people give that advice of follow your passion, I think it's terrible. It could be really good advice, but it could be terrible advice, because you might be like, I'm passionate about being basketball, and I'm so passionate, and I really self-confidence in being the best basketball. Yeah, and you're 5'3". Yeah, like there's only Muggsy, what's his name? Muggsy Bogues. He was actually 5'3", a basketball player. But there's one in a million. Yeah, exactly. Like he's the smallest basketball player that there ever was, and probably ever will be.
Yeah, and so I think it's one of those things where it's like you have to be very like realistic with what you can and can't do. And it does sound very pessimistic, because no one wants to hear that. No one wants to hear that. Oh, well, that dream you have, maybe you can't do it.
Maybe you're shit at it.
Yeah, maybe you just.
Maybe there's not a market for it. Maybe the market's so competitive that you're good, but you're not the best. So you're not going to rise, like the creme de la creme rises to the top, and it's like you're not going to. Sorry, but you ain't got it in you.
Yeah, and it's one of the things where it's like as a trainer you'd say to your client, like, hey, look, if you have 300 pounds to lose, it's going to take you a long time to get shredded if that's your goal. And even then you might not get shredded. Like, there's a lot of things at play here which are out of your control. So, but, just having that sort of like, just being very realistic, but also, I always say that I'm more of a pragmatist, in that sometimes my pragmatism can be mistaken for like being negative. And I get that a lot from people, like, not a lot from people, but sometimes like people who are close to me, like family, like even my girlfriend, for example, like sometimes I'll say something and she misconstrues as me being negative.
Yeah, so negative, Adam.
When really it's just me being honest, like, and
you're saying stuff that people won't say.
Yeah. And that's, unfortunately, it's actually the reason why Physiqonomics sort of took off, because it was just like, I just started saying a lot of things that a lot of people are afraid to say.
But a lot of people could relate to.
People could relate to, yeah.
You as the one with the voice, and not in like I'm on a video. My voice is in my words.
Yeah, and so and people really I think, responded well to it. But I think at the same time, it's a very fine line where you're being, pragmatic, and, you're being honest about some things, but you can be honest about a lot of things, but word it in a way that's actually very offensive, or it can come across as the wrong way, right? And I think this is one of the reasons why, like, a lot of the people who, like the fat shaming, for example, is one sort of recent example where someone can say something, but the intonation, the words they use can come across as more sort of offensive than what they actually wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So I'm very cognizant of not saying things just for the sake of being controversial. And there's so many topics that I've just passed on posting about, because it's like I'm not going to say something just because I know it'll get me some clicks and some likes.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I don't have anything to say, if I don't feel like I can add something to the conversation, then I will more often than not say it, unless I feel really strongly about it.
Yeah.
So, like, a big thing for me is to not. I see a lot nowadays where people try to be edgy and say some things that they may not believe, just because they know it'll get them, because they're being controversial, and it's like, it's going to make people talk. It's going to get them the shares and the likes and stuff, and it's just not something that appeals to me. Like, I think there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it, and which is one of the reasons why I actually don't swear as much as I used to. In my writing, I swear often, but it's drastically lower than what I used to. I used to swear all the time, like, and I think a large part of that was just growing as a person, as a writer, as a coach, etc. And
you're older.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, it's like, what I'm now at 33. Like, when I got into personal training, I got my certificate. I got a sports science degree. I had a degree. You didn't have a degree.
Yeah.
But I went in and I'm like, this is going to be easy. I've got a degree. These people with personal training, they just probably done a shitty little PT course, and they're charging £40 an hour and like doing this, and I'm like, that's and I was terrible because I just weren't prepared. I had the confidence, and then you're still a 21-year-old.
Yeah, exactly.
Just finished university.
Who has no experience.
Now I'm a 33-year-old. You've gone through, like, that's 12 years of life.
Yeah.
Which gives you different experiences. You've got kids, you've got other stuff, you've got what was important when you was 21 is not important when you're 33, and what's important now at 33 is not going to be important when you're 60.
Yeah, and it's like,
you evolve and you change.
100%, and at least you hope you do, because
because if you're just the same
that you were at 21,
you're the same dickhead when you was 18, 19,
then you've got,
and when
some
you're
serious
33, then you're like, people probably looking at you going, you're a dickhead.
Yeah, and so that's why, like, and that's just like a big thing for me now, is just to not not add to the the echo chamber, and just only say things if I really want to say something, or if I really feel strongly about it, which is one of the reasons why I will post like once a month sometimes, or like once every 3 months sometimes, and yeah, it's just just where I'm at right now.
So in regards to let's talk about, I want to get into online coaching and then group coaching and stuff like that. Obviously, we spoke a bit before with everyone today's going video. Video's killing it. Video, audio. I mean, we're doing a video now and we're doing audio, but that's because I can't write for shit.
Yeah.
But when you have all these marketing gurus, these mentors, these coaches go in, and I'm sure you've had it where people are like, Adam, you need to do video. You need to do video. Yeah. You've already said you're introverted. You didn't like going to fitness events. You'd never go to Body Power. When everyone's doing videos and the marketers are saying like everything's going to go to video, and a lot of it is, when do you go, right, I'm not that guy, I'm just going to focus what I do best?
So
and that's writing.
I actually posted about this on my Facebook page, our personal Facebook page, I think a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. I don't actually use Facebook that much anymore, but this was around the time when, like, Snapchat, when Gary Vee was like, everyone needs to be on Snapchat, and it's like, he even told me I need to be on Snapchat. I remember when I met him, and I mean, I was like, cool, let me try this. I didn't like it, used it for like a week or two, and then just got rid of it. But the reason I bring that up is because the biggest thing that I think people, especially trainers who are sort of coming into the online space, they screw up on is they're not consistent with one thing. When Snapchat is a cool kid, everyone's jumping on Snapchat, then oh, that fitness blogger or fitness person just got a golden plaque from YouTube or whatever it's called.
100,000 subscribers. Like,
that's where I need to be. And then the next thing, this person just wrote a fat loss article that went viral. It's had 1 million views. I need to go start writing now. Instagram's the big thing now. Everyone's on Instagram making those shitty little calorie comparison memes. Like,
yeah, the food, the good food, the bad food. This is the normal ice cream. This is the Ben and Jerry ice cream. And I'm like, come on, mate. How many times is someone just going to regurgitate the same stuff? And that's the thing. And so it's like everyone's just, but the biggest thing for me was the one thing that I did do well is just I was very consistent with one thing. Mm-hmm.
When I started, creating content online, I was like, I enjoy writing to an extent that you can enjoy, a process that makes you want to stab yourself in the eye sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, what happened was over the years, I started writing, people gave me feedback, I improved.
Mm-hmm.
I worked on, my writing. I read books on the topic. I continued to write to improve. I had my work critiqued by other people who could write well,
mm-hmm.
so that, I learned some nuances and, but all the while keeping the voice, the voice that a lot of people associate with Physiqonomics. And, continually and just sticking to one thing over time, like over 3-4 years, since 2015, when I started Physiqonomics. If you stick to one thing for like that period of time, there's no reason why you won't see traction,
mm-hmm.
unless you just suck. Then I can't help you. But
yeah, like
but most people don't have to be like, if you just do one thing and you are consistent with that one thing, whether that be video, podcast, or just try and be the best at, create the best thing that you can create via any medium, you will eventually get traction. But the issue is where like we say to our clients or the trainers that are watching this, how they would say to their clients that stop getting ADHD, just focus on one thing. But then I see trainers like doing the exact same thing. They're like, oh, well, this 6-figure mentor just said that I should do like,
I need to start a Facebook group.
Yeah, whatever the case is, right? It's like
a free Facebook group and then have a paid Facebook group.
Exactly, which I'm not even going to use after a week.
Yeah.
So it's just like you have to just commit to one thing, and I think consistency is super underrated. Like, because as much as we say this to our clients, I think as people, and I've been guilty of this as well, we're drawn to the things that are going to give us the quickest payoff. Like, you can post something on Instagram and get a few hundred likes and you're like, oh yes, it's working.
Feels good, I got likes.
Right. But if you're writing content on, say, a blog, it may take you a while to get that traction,
Mm-hmm.
So because you don't get that immediate feedback, you don't get that, you're not like with the likes and whatever the case is. So for me, the biggest thing is just to be consistent. And right now, video is where everyone is sort of transitioning to, either that or podcasts, and not a lot of people are writing anymore. But the whole thing of, oh, well, no one reads anymore, it's kind of bullshit, because no matter what you do, who you are, what format you're using, you are always going to need to write. Like, if you're creating a YouTube video, most people have to script it.
Yeah.
You're going to have to write the script for a YouTube video, and then even if you don't, if you're going to write, say, a caption for that YouTube video, you're going to have to learn how to write well, or, make it engaging in some way. Even like, I remember Gary Vaynerchuk recently, and this is the guy who's like king of video, and he built his whole empire on video. Even he wrote, I think it was on LinkedIn, someone shared a screenshot. He said that, copy is where people need to be focused on. Like, even you could post the most beautiful picture, but if the caption is kind of sucky, no one's gonna care.
Yeah.
But someone could post an average or mediocre picture, but if the caption is engaging, if the caption is relatable to the audience, the people who are reading it, you're going to get, it's going to do well. So I think no matter what people say, like, copy isn't going anywhere. Like, books are, to quote Neil Gaiman, as old as sharks, and sharks are, as old as time almost. So, and books are still here, every year, millions of books are sold.
More books, it's on the increase.
So, as long as the people are reading, and this, people are going to read, and the written word is not going to go anywhere. Even if you own a YouTube channel, if you want to, say, let people know that you just dropped a new video, you're going to have to write an email. You're going to have to do something to get people to. You're
using the other vehicles, because obviously you use Facebook at the time, because again, if you just started, I think going back to like just being consistent with it, like, people get like flashy object like syndrome, like, oh my god, Snapchat's that, this is that. And my thing is like, get a handle on it. Go on it and get on like TikTok. It's coming out. Like, you never know. Do you know what I mean? Get on there, but it doesn't mean you focus on that. You said obviously the medium for you was writing. Nah, I think the context needs to be, you need to be aware of what you're good at and definitely. What you're not good at. Because imagine if I said, right, we could just go consistently. And I know for a fact, if I told you and I was your coach or your guru, your mentor, and I'm like, just going to do video. You're going to get better at video, but let's be honest, like if you went down that video route, knowing you, because I know you pretty well now, you wouldn't have the success you would have from your blog and your content.
And also, I think, it's the time, the time that we're in also, it depends on that as well, because like if I was just starting now, I probably would be more inclined to create video, just because of the fact that that's as much as like I would still have a website and stuff, and I do think that if I was to just start from scratch today, I may be more inclined to create videos.
Okay, that's good. That's a little.
Yeah, and I think also it's just the fact that it's a different time period. It's like 5-6 years ago, Facebook was big. People were on Facebook. That's where the audience was. That's where I pretty much grew. The audience that I have today was a lot of it did come from Facebook initially, and Facebook is written more often than not, it's written content, because I remember when I was first starting out, video on Facebook was not an option. Like I don't think you could have like
it could just be like image or like text post.
So I would definitely experiment with different things. But I think the biggest thing that I would say to anyone who's listening is just to be consistent. Like, don't be afraid to experiment with things. Like I experimented with the little animation and testing how that works on Instagram, and as much as I enjoyed creating that, going through the process, it was just something which I just couldn't do at least because it was just so draining. It was
time consuming.
Yeah,
like, it got me a few more thousand reach, but I was like, actually I could create 2 or 3 posts in that time it took me to take that one post.
Yeah, and it's just so I think you have to be very honest about what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do, and also just being consistent. Like if it's video that you're really compelled to do, like that's what you 100% think like what you want to do, then create video. And it's just one of those things where that consistency is I think the thing that people tend to forget. If you just focus on one thing and you're consistent, over time you will get better. Like if you just start editing videos initially, if you actually enjoy that process of creating videos and editing, you're going to go out of your way to learn how to edit better videos.
There's enough YouTube tutorial videos go like, how do I do masking? How do I do this? How do I do that? And you're like, you just learn as you go.
Exactly. And I think so, just like I did with my writing, learning how to improve my writing, reading books on that, getting people to critique my writing and improving based on that. And, those are also like fundamentals that people should be more worried about versus the medium. And everyone sort of has an idea of what they're more drawn to. Some people are just more drawn to podcasts, for example. Some people are more drawn to videos. Some people are drawn to written word. So whatever it is that you want to do, just be consistent with one thing. But it's not just not just being consistent, but also be very intentional with it. Like if you create a video, listen to feedback. I go back and read my old blogs, and I'm like, I can see how much I've
evolution
improved. Yeah.
And if you went back and you thought they were the best thing, like there was no difference from 5 years ago to like 5 weeks ago, then obviously there's something that you're not progressing as a individual or someone who's a specialist in that field. I think another thing that people need to be aware of is that people say it's so hard to create content and come up with ideas. I'm just like, you might just not have the fucking knowledge. Like the reason why you can't create content is because you don't have the basic understanding, or you put the work in to be seen as someone who has that subject specific knowledge. Like if you're truly, because all you're doing is, whether it's video, whether it's a written blog or a podcast, it's a vehicle for you to go, this is what I know. I can either write in a blog post, which you would do and I would never do, but I could do it on a podcast, or I can do it video. I could stand up and talk to people at an event, and it's just sort of, again, people, that consistency. But it's like, make sure you have the foundations there.
Yeah.
First and foremost, like you can't be talking like if I will debate with anyone when it comes to like online coaching or more of like the market and business side of things. If I got on stage and you wanted to discuss about a topic that I'd maybe once spent a lot of time and energy on, so like nutrition, for example, like my training nutrition knowledge is better than most people.
Yeah.
But I've been at that game for too long because I was like, right, there's got to be a point of time where I need to stop like reading research papers to do with another fucking scientific study. Oh, guess what? There was no significant difference. I'm like, I know what the p-value is now. I know what this is. And I got to a point where I was just like, for me to build a business, I need to go through the process that I went through as a personal trainer. Because when you go through a personal trainer, you do your level 2, level 3, you're getting qualified in stuff that are saying you're male, you have 2,500 calories, you're female, you have 2,000 calories. There's no context. It's out of date. You've got an Eat World food plate. It's very generic, out of date information that you're learning. And at the time you think this is amazing because you're like, I know this muscle's called pectoralis major. I thought it was just called a pec. And this triceps brachii, and like you're learning like when you've done it, and then you get to that point where you, with the business and market side of things, I had to go through that whole process again, where it wasn't to do with training and nutrition, it was to do with marketing. You get the same things. Like I could like, you have bro science people because it's bro science, and I'm like bro marketing, or like that marketing, that thing where you use a blatant obvious lead page and it's got fucking 110 Facebook screenshots of testimonials. It's got the big red writing at the front, the headline. It goes through this system. There's no menu on the top of it. It's basically, you either buy my thing now, and it's got, rather than 1,999, it's just today it's only £9.99. It's like, come on.
Touching on that is because it's something that I feel very strongly about. So about a year and a half ago, I got really into like copywriting, because I know that, if I want to be able to sell stuff, I need to be persuasive in my ability to sell. So I started reading a ton of copywriting content. It's like I was just super on it, and eventually it got to a point where I realized that everyone's approach was pretty much, every single copywriting book is saying the same thing, and it's almost to a point where it's so fucking sleazy that it's like I was like, I'm never gonna do that. Like so I don't know if they do it anymore, but I haven't seen it recently. But I know back in the day, you'd see a sales page and it'll say, "Dear friend." And it's like, from the desk of XXX, and it's like, who fucking talks like that?
The email just had an RE in,
it's just,
and they think it's a reply.
And so for me, like now, and we was having the conversation in January of this year. Actually, I actually did a launch for my group coaching program, and I was like copywriting 101, like just every single tactic that you can think of.
I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, I was like, okay, cool. You know what? Let me just try it. I mean, the sale went, the launch went really well, but I felt like there was this part of me that felt very sick, like almost like
sleazy.
I sold out. Yeah, that's the word, sleazy. I said sneezy.
Sneezy, sorry.
So I felt very like there was this part of me that was like, this, I'm never doing this again. Yeah. And another interesting thing was, that's the one launch I've had where I had over 1,000 unsubscribes.
Oh, wow.
When usually it's about 200, 300.
Yeah, so there's a significant difference.
And so when the person that I was who was advising me at the time, he was like, don't worry, if people are going to unsubscribe, fuck them.
They're not the right people.
But then I thought, maybe they're not the right people right now. Yeah. But if I just
maybe if I was myself and I didn't write that copy, like I was just a sleazy marketer.
Like if I had just been me and done things how people expect of me,
then you can live with 1,000 unsubscribes.
Not even then, I think that people would have sort of appreciated me just being honest about it. And the unsubscribes wouldn't have been that high. So and the whole thing that I kept coming back to was, okay, maybe they won't buy right now, but if I had just if I had treated them like people, if I had approached this differently, maybe they would have been able to look past me selling to them, and then 7 months down the line they'll buy from me again, which actually, so then the launch that I did after, all the launches I've done since then, I've just been myself. Like the voice is just me. You can tell that I've written it.
And the sign-ups have still been there.
Sign-ups actually have been there. I felt good about it. And the unsubscribes have been back down to usually what it is. Yeah. And like I've had people who actually email me and say, hey man, love your stuff. I'm just not interested in it right now. Can you just take me off this list? Yeah. As in like the sales.
Cool. And do you realise you can just press unsubscribe below?
No, but he wanted to sell my email list. He just didn't want to get the sales emails. Yeah. So then what I basically started to tell people now is that, hey, look, next week I'm going to open up X program. If you're not interested, just click this link right now. It'll unsubscribe you. No hard
Yeah, I
feelings.
like that if you're not interested, rather than
And
click this if you are interested.
yeah. So it's kind of like, if you're not interested in sort of getting those sales emails,
Go off. And I'll
that's
just
cool.
take you out the next week
and
or two.
And then in a week or two, we'll go back to my normal content.
Yeah.
And people actually really appreciate that. And actually, what's interesting is I thought that a lot of people would not be interested. But every time I've done it, only like 5 or 6 people have actually not been interested.
I like that it's the opt out rather than opt in.
Yeah.
I think that's like just that one thing.
And I think for me now, it's just like my quote unquote marketing strategy is just to treat people like people. Just be honest about what you're doing.
Yeah.
There's no need to be sleazy about it. There's no need to make people feel bad about not being able to afford something right now.
Yeah.
Some people genuinely can't afford something right now.
Yeah, and that person say like I think it's quite patronising. Like when I see one of them sales pages, I'm like, honestly, I'm not that dumb that I think your product, just because you've added a price here, then you put a red cross for it, and then you've added another one, then you add another one, and then what you've done is you've deducted it all, and then what you've done is you've done the opposite.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to be like, you also get this bonus, you get this bonus, you get that bonus. This is worth 900. Who the fuck? Dude, you've never sold it for £999 in your life.
When I see stuff like, £5,000 worth of value, and you're getting it for £50. Like, am I a dickhead?
Yeah, seriously.
Everyone can tell. Like, people can tell.
If that was the real deal, you're a dickhead for even proposing it.
Exactly. So it's one of the things where I don't do any of that sleazy shit. I don't do like value stacking and like this is a mug and it's £5,000, but just today I'm gonna throw it as a bonus.
Yeah.
It's just like
I'm gonna put 3 tea bags in this mug. Because you're special.
Exactly. And it's like people can tell. People can tell. Like. And
the types of people that sign up to those as well, are they the types of, like, when you think about it, like those people which are chasing the quick fix, it's normally that, but it's cheap, and you have it there, and you're giving them the perceived value that it's worth £1,000, but they're only paying £9.99. They're the types of people that you also then probably are dealing with, and you're like, you're dickheads. Like, I don't like. Why did I ever go down that route? Because then I get people go, look. I get a load of free like time wasters. They just they DM me and they want me for like online coaching, and they're just time wasters. They're idiots, or they're people would say dickheads. I know we say that a lot, but then I say to them, if you are attracting dickheads, it's because you appeal to dickheads. So don't be a dickhead. You know what?
Like I think a lot of the time, especially when like someone's getting into the industry early on, it's like, I think there's it's a whole sense of entitlement, like. If you aren't going to take the time to help someone for free, why the fuck should they pay you?
Yeah, and like you're just starting, so why are you just coming into this industry, fresh face, and you feel like you're entitled to? Oh, just because online coaching, I can do that, and
I mean, the first year when I started back in 2014, before even Physiqonomics was a thing, I was coaching people for free online, and every time someone sent me an email, like even now, like I will try and help people as much as possible. Yeah. Obviously, I can't answer every single email now, but I will, if it's an email which is like, I feel like this is
the person's put a bit of effort into it, then it's
I will take my time.
I don't know what macro should.
It's like,
I'm training 3 times a week. It's four times better.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just one of the things where it's like, I'm very. I think I'm also very grateful of like being in a position where people trust me to be able to give them information, because I remember when I think that perspective is something that a lot of people forget when they start to get their business takes off and they start to get more attention, or they start to make
time's money.
Yeah, it's like, nah, fuck you.
Yeah,
it's just like one of the things where it's just think back to when I always think back to when I was 14 or 15 and I was emailing these bodybuilders or people that I looked up to and no one replied. That's like, and I just felt like if I had someone like me where someone could email me, I get tons of people like 17, 18. I'm like, dude, look, you can't afford coaching. Like, it just doesn't make sense for you.
Yeah.
But let me help you as much as I can. There's a woman, a mother emailed me and she said, hey, my son's 17, he's looking to get into weightlifting, will you coach him? I said, no, I won't, because I don't work with people that young. However, here's a basic beginner program that I give to my clients that you can use. Give it to my son. If he wants to ask me any questions, give him my email address. I'm more than happy to help him, right? And it's just one of the things where I think that you can't expect people to. Why should someone buy from you if you haven't given them anything value first, right? Like, I think there is especially when you're starting out, there is that sense of entitlement. Like, well, why should I help you for free or join my program? It's like, dude, you're going to have to help people for a long, long time before someone might even give me money. Like I remember I tracked how long someone stays on my email list before they buy, and it's about 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
So when you have that perspective, every time I send an email and I'm offering value, I know in the back of my head, hey, this person may not buy today. Like this person asking this question may not buy today, but by me answering them now,
maybe in 6 months, maybe in a year, maybe never.
Exactly.
But you're happy. You're not expecting like that person to sign up. Like it's not like I'm not gonna. If you want me to answer your question,
join
you
my
need to
program.
pay me money.
It's just one of the things where it's like
Facebook group.
Yeah.
Blah, blah,
like
blah.
I will still go through DMs and try my best to answer as many questions.
Yeah, sometimes you get idiot questions. You just think, mate.
You do, but at the same time, I'm just like, like I think I'm getting better at like 2-3 years ago, I would have been like, fuck this
dumb
guy.
question.
Yeah,
not getting a response.
And I would have made like a really snarky comment about it, and then, but now I'm sort of getting to a point where I'm like, I can't complain about the bullshit in the industry, and then also,
not give an alternative.
Right. When that person's genuinely asking, because like some of the questions are a bit, you're kind of like, interesting. Like it's a bit worrying that you couldn't work that out. However, I'm trying to be less of a cunt.
Yeah.
I'm just, I'm trying to become like, 2-3 years ago, I was very snarky, very like, if someone asked me a question or sort of disagreed with me in the comments, I would just like roast them and like, in a way which, it was like, but then what I started to realize was that wasn't the image that I wanted to project, because that's not really the kind of person I am.
Yeah.
And so what I started to think about, almost knocked the mic out, was if this person is being rude or whatever in the comments, if I answer it in a cordial way, in a way that, isn't sort of,
you're not trying to fight their fire with them. You're being like positive.
So
like thanks for having that opinion, and I respect. Thanks for taking the time to comment.
Because I know that other people are going to read in those comments and having an image of me.
Yeah.
And those people might end up,
and that can convert.
Yeah, and also
like someone would be like, "Oh, the way you handled that idiot." Most people would have just like blocked them or told them they're an idiot or
but
whatever.
Also, I feel like I also don't want to make people think that I'm like a saint. I will call some people out. Sometimes
it's just how you feel at the time.
Yeah,
and
it's just like, you're human.
There's times where someone has commented, I'd be like, I'm not even going to respond.
Yeah.
And there's other times be like, no. I've got a bit more time on my hands. Libra's not screaming. I ain't changing shitty nappies. I ain't got to give bath times or do bottles. I'll be like, I'm going to reply to that individual.
And it's one of the things I think also, like, I made a post about this a few months back on Instagram on World Health Day, Mental Health Day, where I was like, just remember that, your coach or whoever you're working with is a human as well. Like, so you need to give, and so you have to, when I'm reading through the comments and sometimes a coach is being a bit, a bit snarky or a bit, they're falling into that trap of fighting these people online. I kind of understand it, because I've been in those same situations where I'm just like not in a very good mind state, and it's like you're trying to get this, you're trying to get all this emotion out, on this person who's just decided to call you out because whatever reason. So I will still do it. Like sometimes if someone asks me a question or says something which I just find really annoying, I will sort of be very snarky about it, and I don't really apologize for that. It's just like a part of who I am, but I'm trying to get better. And I think, going back to the overarching point is just the fact that I think people, especially as coaches, need to be a bit less entitled. Don't expect to, have 10,000 followers if you're not, creating content people give a fuck about, And, it's one of the things where I think that whole entitlement thing is something that tends to annoy me when I see coaches, say certain things.
Baby face, just fresh out of the box, done a physique show.
I hear about sometimes when I'm on Facebook and just like scrolling through the feed, I'll see like a new coach who will make a comment like, oh, all these dumb coaches doing X, Y, Z, or I'm just like, okay, you're definitely not making any money. Because if someone, it's one of the things where it's like, if you're actually doing something with your client, like, I don't have time to debate people on the fucking internet because I'm too busy creating or working with my clients, like helping real people,
serving your clients rather than trying to
instead of making some shitty comparison meme or like, which is why I don't post as much on Instagram, because most of the time I've got better things to do. As as bad as that sounds, I've actually have real clients to work with who are my priority.
And followers don't pay the bills.
They don't, and and so it's one of those things where you just need to have like your priorities in place, and just be willing, like, especially if you're someone who's, you know, a new coach, be willing to be a bit more patient with people and, you know, answer their questions and just put in the work.
I say be patient in a long-term result, but be impatient in what you do on a day-by-day basis.
100%. Like, I think,
like, you can't expect it to, because the people will look at you and go, "You're an overnight success."
I mean, I don't know, like, I've never actually, no one said that to me.
No, but there'd be
probably.
people
I mean,
would
maybe,
ever go like, you done an Instagram post and it just popped, or you done it. You'd be like, no, mate. Like, you see what's on the surface. You see the result. You haven't seen the days when I was at LA Fitness and getting asked stupid questions, and then I was here and I was doing this and I was doing that. Like, people, that's a good thing, because I never knew like your backstory of like where you were, what you did, when you did it. And how you sort of progressed.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like there. The whole, you know, people don't know the fact that when I was first, you know, 2015, 2016, I was like close to broke. Like, you know, I had saved up some money, so because I knew that I wanted to leave and sort of, you know, do something. But I was getting close to, like, you know, having no money at one point, because it was just like. But at the same time, I was creating this content, but you wouldn't know that. You know, you wouldn't have known that if you were. Because, you know, I'm very, again,
whinging on Facebook.
Yeah,
going,
I mean, again, I'm very,
no money.
Yeah, and, you know, I'm not one of those people. This is why I don't do Instagram stories. Like, you know, I'm just not one of those people who I'm very, you know, I'm very closed. Like, I don't like people knowing too much about me, and that sounds like, in a way, that I've got something to hide. It's just the fact that it's just so draining. Like, my girlfriend does this a lot. Like, if we go out to eat somewhere or we do something, she's like, on Instagram, I need to post on Instagram. I need to post it. I'm like, dude, just fucking enjoy it. Like, I don't do that stuff personally, because it's just so draining. Like, I just want to, you know, just enjoy, like, what I'm doing right now. And, you know, I know some people do it. I know some people get a lot of good traction on, like, posting about their entire life story. But for me, it's just like, I just don't have the patience for it.
And plus, you don't need to do that to be as successful as as you've become and what you do. So it's like, that's not, you don't have to. When people be like, do you need to be on social media to be, like, successful in today's age? I'm like, you don't need to be, but you need to be doing other stuff. So it's like, definitely. I'm a personal trainer. Do I need to have Instagram? Do I need to have Facebook? No, if anyone talks in absolutes, it's absolute nonsense. Like, you don't need to be on Facebook. You don't need to be on Instagram. But if you're not on there, how are you going to get people to know who you are, and how are you going to be able to provide value to people if you're only doing it in person? Well, that means you have to be on the gym floor. You have to be where the people are. You need to be doing stuff that can provide value in a 1-to-1 or 1-to-10 basis. And then get the results.
There's been times when, even, you know, as of a week ago, I'm like constantly debating over whether I want to close my Instagram page.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, I'm just not a fan of social media in general, you know, because of the reasons that on social media, it's very easy to game social media. Like, and I say that in a way where if you have a significant audience, you know, where I could create something tomorrow where I'm, you know, swearing, I'm like being super controversial, and it'll go viral. You know, like, it's one of the things, but it's like, is that the sort of brand that I want to build? Is that what I want people to know me? You know, is that, I don't want people to, you know, people to associate Physiqonomics with, that's just a guy who, like, calls everyone out and, like, you know, is just bitter about things. And, you know, that's not the sort of brand that I want to build. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll call people out and tell them to fucking around and stuff, but I say it in a very, like, playful manner. Like, the whole shtick with Physiqonomics is, imagine that Physiqonomics, like me, you know, we're like friends, and you're having this conversation with a friend who also just happens to be a trainer. So, you know, in that perspective, when you're having a conversation with your friend will say to you, hey, you're being an idiot, you know, stop fucking around, get your shit together. Like, that's sort of like vibe that I sort of like to.
Yeah, it's not like it's more of like, my friends be like, yeah, I think you should do it. Like, stop being a baby, do like, and that's the way you would approach it. And I think it's the right way, because you could go one extreme and just be like, or you could be like the other way. With theirs, it just feels like Physiqonomics and you and the coaching, especially like the group coaching as well, which we'll talk about. The way your writing style is very, even when you send your emails through, because I'm on your email list, it's not as if a marketer's sending it.
Yeah.
It's like a friend, more like a friend's going, I've got a post on this, check it out.
Because it's like, I'm very, and when I say this to people, like, I genuinely, you know, as corny and cliche as it sounds, like, you know, I genuinely see people who read my content as friends, because I'm very appreciative of them, you know, taking the time out of the day to read my content, which is, you know, not something that a lot of people would do, you know, especially when I get messages from people saying your emails are the only emails I read, you know, and I don't even like opening emails. I save your emails to a special, you know,
like a folder.
You know, I read your emails over and over again when I'm having a bad day, or, you know, thank you for posting this because it made me feel better about myself, you know. So I think in that way, as a friend, it's the thing where sometimes as a friend you have to be kind of like call this shit and be like, hey, stop fucking around, but at the same time you need
still supportive,
right? Like if you know, if you had a friend come to you crying, or he or she were having trouble, you would be like, hey, man up, or stop fucking around. Like you'd be empathetic, right?
Pay me money and I'll talk to you.
Yeah, exactly. And join my mastermind.
Yeah.
So that's the vibe that I try to give. So every touch point that I have with my readers is this, you know, is this the way that I would want to be treated? You know, sometimes, and if the answer is no, then that's not, I won't do it. And so every sort of like, you know, marketing thing that I do, and I use that term very loosely because honestly it's not that much marketing. It's just me, you know, having a conversation with someone like, hey, look, I've got this thing. If you want to learn more about it, here's more information, right? Yeah. And I think people are very responsive to that because it's very different to what they're accustomed to, which is 5 emails a day, buy my shit, discount, buy my shit, discount. It's like, you know, so when you do things in a way where you're treating the person on the other end of that email or that social as a person, you start to approach it differently, because when now that I see everyone, you know, on my email list as a person, the other end receiving this, like so some marketers, what they will do is they'll put like, hey, and your first name. And it's like, dude, we know that you've got a system in place where, you know,
you just script
exactly. And whereas I just say hey, or hey everyone, like I'm talking to everyone.
Yeah, because I know you know this is an email list and it's not me personally.
I'm not like, you know, I know that you're smart enough to know that it's just like that, right? And people respond well to that. Like I had one of my clients say something like, you know, I received 2 emails from a fitness person. One was from this other fitness person who was saying something like, hey, you know, client name, oh, you remember, you can do it today, you're beautiful, and this and that. She was like, it made me want to cringe. But then she's like, the second email I got was from Adam, and he said, stop fucking around. Like, you know, I can't remember the email was, but something like, you know, stop fucking around or something. She was like, that was more real. Yeah. Because I think what people forget is that, you know, when you're trying to be uber like, oh, I care so much about you, it's like, you don't even know me, bro. Like, I don't know you.
Be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, like.
But if I'm just like, hey, look, you know, like, stop fucking around, you know. And so I think it's a balancing act of not pushing it to an extreme where you also start alienating people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're kind of making people, you know, be like, you're kind of being very stern with them, almost like Alina was with me when I was like, you know, 10 years ago in that office when she told me to, you know, stop messing up. And so that's just like the, you know, the sort of vibe that I like to give, because it's not because it's like a fake thing. It's like I truly, you know, do see my readers, and every time a new subscriber signs up, and the first question I ask them in the ultimate, you know, in the sequence is, you know, hit reply to this email and ask me a question, like, what's your biggest struggle, and I will try my best to, you know, get back to as many people as I can. I unfortunately can't get back to everyone, which is, you know, what I say in the email, but I will, you know, I take an hour out of my day to try and respond to as many emails as I can, because I know that it just comes back to when I was 14 or 15, when I was first getting into the industry, I was trying to learn as much as I can. You know, I didn't have this information. I would have wanted someone, if I had emailed someone, for them to respond to me.
You got a response, you'd be like, oh my God.
Exactly. And, you know, and not just like, you know, like a genuine email response, you know. Yeah. Not just saying things for the sake of saying, you're like a 1-word response, but like a
thumbs up emoji.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, and that's just, so since I've used that approach, I've just felt a lot better about marketing, selling, all of that stuff in general. It's just because it feels more authentic to me. And I know that's like a buzzword these days, but when I use that word, I don't mean it in like a, you know, I've got my arse on Instagram and I'm writing a Bible quote because hashtag authenticity, but I mean that in the way of like me just being who I really am. Yeah. And you know, like every time I do a launch, I'm just very honest about if this is for that person. Yeah. And people appreciate that. Like, you know, I had a few people who emailed me and they would say, this is my situation, you know, and as much as I would love to say, you know, I'd love to have you, it just wouldn't be the honest thing to say. So I say, you know, as much as I would love to take your money, and I would, I would phrase it just like that. Like, as much as I'd love to take your money, it's just not it's not a good fit. Yeah. However, this is what I would suggest you do. If I have an article on my website, I'll send them the article. And basically, just treating them like a friend. Like if a friend came to you and said, hey, do you think that this is good for me? You're not going to be like, buy my shit. Or,
just buy it, it's cool.
Yeah. But it's like, you'd be honest about what you can or can't do. So yeah, and people appreciate that. Like people say, I appreciate the honesty. And even if that person doesn't buy, they might tell a friend, or they might tell a friend, so it's like, it's always like there's like a ripple effect. Whereas, if someone to one example that comes to mind now is I had someone apply for coaching, and we went, we had a few back and forth by email, and based on what he said, I just said to him, look, man, it's not going to be a good fit. And then I think 2 months after, he referred me to a friend. And in the email that he referred me to, he said, I trust Adam. He's honest. He
didn't take me on because, boom.
Yeah. And he was just 100% honest about it. And his friend signed up. So it's like, so for me, it's always about, firstly, treating people like people, like not just seeing them as another number, and just being, honest about what you can and can't do, because it helps me sleep better at night. And I know that I don't have to keep remembering all these lies. Yeah. Because, because I said something 6 months ago, and that might come back to bite me.
You're like, did I say it?
Yeah. So it's just like, as long as, I think, especially when it comes to like selling and stuff, I'm just very honest about what something is, so when people sort of, a lot of other people, towards more like this thing can do everything, and, join now. And I don't do value stacking, when you have like, I don't give away random bonuses. I don't do scarcity tactics like closing tonight and then, all of that nonsense. I'm just like very honest about what it is, how it can help you. And then, some emails throughout the week. And if you don't want to join, feel free to, click this link and I'll take you off the email list.
So you got to the point where you nearly skint.
Yeah. Well, I was running out of money. Yeah, for sure. Right.
So, and the only money you had was from your previous jobs that you left.
Yeah.
So money's running low.
Yeah.
Panic kicking in? Or not?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think also, it wasn't the end of the, it was the end of the world, obviously. It wasn't the end of the world, but it was terrifying at the time, because it would mean I have to move back to my dad, and, that's the entire, bearing in mind at the time, me and my dad did not have a very good relationship because of the whole university incident, even, though that was like 4 years. 5 years, my dad holds grudges for a long time. So, and then it was the whole, like, not just me actually running out of money, but the fact that I'd have to go back and live with my parents, or my dad even, and having to, that shame, like, he was right, I told you should have gone to university, but you want to fuck around with this.
If you went to uni, you would have had
you'd probably be a doctor right now.
Yeah. But Dad, I was learning business. Like, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You would have been a doctor.
Business doctor, same thing.
Yeah. So you're what year is this then? 2015?
I think it was like late. It was late, sort of, coming to the end of 2014.
And then by that time, how big was Physiqonomics like?
Oh, it didn't even exist.
It didn't exist?
No, Physiqonomics was still like a year more, about
a year after.
8 months away from being born.
So so money's going lower, lower, lower. You're not at home, so therefore you got bills. How are you making that money now? Panic's kicked in, you're like...
So I actually had... so that's when I actually came across EFM. And
Elite Fitness Mentoring, that was back in the day.
That's OG.
I had multiple businesses with multiple Facebook pages, and I'm like, crap, I'm putting it under one brand.
And so while I was doing that, I had a few sort of clients who I reached out to, my in-person clients who had, left the gym and stuff, and I reached out to them, and I was basically just like, hey, I'm doing this online coaching thing. If you're, interested, we can talk about it. And then I had, I think I had like 2 or 3 of my clients who, old clients. They sort of came back.
What did they say when you said I'm doing online coaching? What was they like? What the hell?
They're like, what? It's like, what? So are you gonna teach me? Are you gonna train me through Skype? And I was like, no. So I basically had to explain the whole process to them. And I didn't even have that much of a process back then, and then so I was working with you guys at EFM, And and I think in May 2015, Physiqonomics was launched. But having said that, I had been coaching people online for a while since then, like my younger brother and stuff, and I started sharing photos on Facebook and Instagram and stuff. No, sorry, not Instagram actually. Even the Instagram was around then. It was actually still like 3 years in. On Facebook and stuff, and I had a few people reach out to me and say, hey,
Can
online coach.
me?
Yeah. So that sort of helped, with that time.
So how many clients did you have before Physiqonomics?
Oh man, like I'd say 6 or 7.
And then how much was you charging? Was you doing 8-week transformations?
No, it was just online coaching. So I think I can't remember how much.
You went straight to monthly.
I didn't even take monthly payments. It was all sort of paid in full for like 12 weeks or something.
Yeah.
And I think I was charging like £200, £150, £200. So that's a lie. It was either you could pay in full and it was like 200 or something.
You save a little bit.
Yeah, save a little bit, or you could do monthly, and it's a bit more, but you have the option to. So yeah, that's what I was doing.
And based on, so obviously when I started Luke Johnson PT with my name and then a barbell, where my name fitted in within that barbell, that Tom, one of the obviously the old videographer apprentice, TM Cycles, he designed it when I was at the college. So when I'd done 8-week body transformations back in the day. It was body transformation. Then it went to total transformation because I didn't want it to just be the body. It had to be the total. It was the mindset. It was the nutrition. It was everything was transformed, but we totally transformed it. And then that's when we had 12 weeks packages and stuff like that. So you had people on the packages, and you had people on the monthly. What was your average? Like, what was the difference between those who opted into the monthly? Like, how long did they stay? Because obviously you had 12 weeks, 3 months package. Those on the monthly, did they stay longer than that 3 months?
I actually honestly can't remember.
Because I wanted to say yes.
I'd be lying if I. You
can't remember.
I honestly.
What was your average sort of client at that time? Like, how long would they stay with you for?
I think about 8 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of people would like renew if they were like paid in full.
Yeah. What about if they just paid 12 weeks and it was like, did they pay for another 12 weeks?
Yeah. Or? So just like renew for another 12 weeks. Yeah. So just basically renew. But I honestly can't remember how long. I think 8 months was like the average between 6 to 8 months, which is how long they'd stay.
Because what we found was it's a bigger investment up front, and that 8 weeks they might have paid like at the middle of the month and they get paid at the end of the month. And for us, it was sort of we got away from those packages completely, because it was one of those where people sign up to it with the mindset, in 8 weeks I'm going to make this whole transformation and that's it. So they go into it going, I can do this for 8 weeks. I'm going to commit to 8 weeks, exercise for 8 weeks, eat better for 8 weeks, and focus. And it's all 8 weeks, 8 weeks, 8 weeks. And it's also you can get progress in 8 weeks. But I didn't even like the mindset that people had of an 8 week or 12 week. It was, we sat down, we'd get to know you, we'd have a phone conversation, and it'd be like, right, this is the monthly coaching. So one, it's a lower barrier to entry because it's not £300. It might be £100 per month at the time or whatever it was. And it was one of those where it's like, this is the plan, this is the strategy. You want to do this. First, we're going to start off with this, then we're going to move to this and that and that. And what I found was the retention rate was just through the roof, because you actually monthly, if you do a good job and it's consistent, and that client's got the buy-in, the mindset of, one, it's lower to part way with, and two, it's it just auto renews. Yeah, I mean, and there's no start and there's no stop. It's just you got to where you wanted to be. Now you probably got another goal. You got something else. And I had clients for like 2-3 years as online clients. Yeah,
no. With me, like now, I don't do paid in full packages. No. Everything's monthly now. Yeah. Unless someone says, "Hey, look, can I just pay you in?" Cause for some people it helps. Like it's a commitment thing. Like it works. Like they know they paid £700, and it's like they're gonna commit to it. But very rarely do I get asked, because I don't pitch people, paid in full. So it's just monthly now. And I mean, the retention, like it really depends, because like for me, I will work with someone until
you feel they're ready to go.
Yeah, like I don't like to keep people on. unless they actually do want to stay on.
Yeah.
And so the average, if someone's trying to lose fat, I try not to work with people who want to gain muscle, because it's such a painstakingly slow process. Like, it's just every single week it's like, yep, fine, cool.
You put on 0.3 kg.
Yeah, it's such a slow process that it's just one of those things where, and again, I don't really get a lot of people who want to build muscle. It's mostly just people who want to lose fat. I do get some people who do want to build muscle from the get-go, but they say, look, this is the thing, it just doesn't make sense. If you want me to design you like a 12 or a 24 week or something week program, and you can just buy that, like a one-off thing, we can do that. But to be perfectly honest, I just wouldn't feel right coaching you and taking your money, because there's not much fat, like once you know what you need to do, you just go and do it. Whereas with fat loss, there's a lot more, like there's a lot more micromanagement in terms of like, okay, how are you sleeping, how's hunger, but with muscle gain, it's just eat more food. And obviously put them on a smart training program, etc. But in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty much just, okay, just cool, just eat more food, bro.
That's what like 3DMJ do actually, because they'd be like off season, but it'd just be like, it'd be more consulting. Yeah. So it'd have like a Skype call, whatever, and be like, here's your plan, go away. Don't get over, like, here's the limit, or so you want to compete next year. I don't know if the guys still do it this way, but it'd be like, for the off season, it'd be consultation, checking in. Yeah. But it wouldn't be ongoing monthly coaching. It'd just be, here's the plan. I don't want you to go over 10% of what your stage weight would be. Yeah. And then when you're ready to cut, we come back, and then we're that hands-on approach on like the monthly ongoing basis. Yeah.
I personally just think that works much better. And yeah, so the average retention for me would be about 6 to 8 months, between 6 to 8 months. And it's just mostly because once, someone gets to 6 months or 8 months, they're done. They've got lean. If they want to, continue working with me, because some people just want to have like, they've enjoyed the process. They like the coaching relationship. I like working with them. So they will just, carry on. That's fine. Cool. Like, I'm not going to be like, no, seriously, just no. Unless it's like, I just genuinely don't think that there's any point in me coaching them. Yeah. After 8 months, I'm like, that's like the maximum that I would work with someone, because within that time frame, they would have achieved, their fat loss goal, and they're ready to sort of go on their own.
Yeah, and they're learning. They're not just being like, here's just macros, here's just training. Like, it's a whole process of learning. And I said to you earlier, like, an educated client's a client that asks less questions. Yeah. Which is what you need if you're looking to scale, especially a one-to-one. So you've got your 7 clients. When was the pivoting point where you was like, actually, I'm making decent money now for online coaching?
I think it was probably sometime, probably like mid 2016 or late 2015 even.
And how many clients did you have?
Probably about 20.
20?
Yeah.
And you were just like, actually, I can pay my bills now.
Yeah. So I was like,
was you getting any other revenue from other stuff? So you've done a bit of like guest blog posts and stuff like that.
I think I did some guest writing or guest posts, which I was getting paid for. That was pretty much it. There was not any other like, that was pretty much.
So you got to 20. What's your maximum amount of clients you've had at once?
About 70, which was a fucking ball ache.
Because that's the thing, everyone's like, online coaching is like, it's amazing, like, you can do it whenever you want. And I'm like, there's still 70 people.
Every time I see someone, when you hear people say things like, oh, I've got 200 coaching clients. How the fuck are you coaching? Like, well,
you're not coaching.
Yeah,
you're just plans.
Yeah, it's for me personally, I found the sweet spot to be about 50 clients. Even that's kind of pushing it. Yeah. The only reason I actually ended up on 70 was just because of the fact that for me, I kind of like, whoever you are, you're going to have clients who are going to cancel. Even if you have.
You want to finger down
so
and drop.
Yeah, so I would just think, so I'm always thinking, okay, cool. Within
I've got a buffer.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that buffer never came for a while. Yeah. So I just kept
taking.
Yeah, and I was like,
I need to stop taking.
Yeah. So then it just got to a point where 70 clients was like, no, I'm not doing this ever again. So now I don't take on, a maximum is 50. I just won't take on more than 50 clients at one point, because it's not even just the money is good, but it becomes really like, you can't enjoy anything because you have to get back to emails, and then when you're doing weekly check-ins, it's just too much. It's way too much.
People potentially asking many questions or no questions.
But I'm very I'm very open about my the way I like to interact with my clients. Like I know a lot of coaches who will say things like, "Yeah, contact me at any time," and I don't do that. Like so, when before someone makes payment, so my coaching process, the way it works is you apply for coaching, you get a response from me, which is basically telling you, this is your goal, based on what you say. So I think you need to do. This is how long it will take. And then I give them, there's 3 points that I want them to sort of, read and agree to. And one of those points is I only check emails at 11 a.m. every morning. Mm-hmm. If you email me outside of that time, I'm not going to respond to the next day unless it's super urgent.
Yeah.
And you have to actually agree to that before you can even become a client, before I even send you any, information on coaching. Mm-hmm. And so
this is before they even paid. It's just like, if you want, this is the terms and conditions.
Yeah, like I don't want to take people's money and then to tell them this.
Yeah,
I want,
you've got to be upfront.
I want to be honest and transparent about everything beforehand. Even when I send them the link for payment, I will tell them to read the terms and conditions of coaching
them,
before they sign. Like that, to reread my rules, my house rules, but also read the terms and conditions of coaching.
Goes into a bit more detail.
If you cancel within 3 months, you're charged a cancellation fee because all of these things I'm very transparent about, because now if someone cancels, they can't say I didn't read anything, I didn't agree to anything, right?
Yeah.
It's there. It's if you don't want to.
And these are things you just introduced as you've gone. Cause like you've got to start off and you're like, actually, this has happened more than once now, and I think I need to have that.
Yeah, like I would have, there's a 3 month minimum commitment with my coaching, depending on which package you go with, because I've got a 3 month or a 6 month. So if they go, the 3 month is 3 month minimum commitment, 6 months, 6 month minimum commitment. So if they cancel within 3 months, they're charged cancellation fee. If they cancel within 6 months, they charge cancellation fee. After that closing, that period is over, they can cancel whenever they like.
Yeah.
But these are things that, I started picking up on, because before what would happen is someone would sign up, I'll spend time on making the program and everything, then they cancel.
Yeah, you're like, what?
Yeah, it's like, motherfucker. So this is just that way to like protect, my time and, stuff that they're getting, because they do get a lot of information and, a lot of stuff, a lot of content and thought goes into the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just very transparent about what they can expect from the get-go. I tell my clients, I'm not your dad, I'm not here to babysit you.
Yeah.
So I will help and support you as much as I can. But if you're going to whinge and whine because you're hungry or whatever, you're signing up for this, right? So I will help you as much as humanly possible, but you need to put in some work on your side. This isn't a walk in the park, right? And I'm also very aware to not make it. I think there's a tendency for people to make fat loss look really hard. Like, people will say, oh, fat loss sucks. It's like, yeah, sure, maybe if you're trying to get body shredded, but for the average person, it isn't actually that bad.
No. Especially if they're using an approach that's specific to them. I mean, they're not doing this diet or that diet. It's like, you can't eat carbs, you can eat carbs, you can't eat this, you can't eat that.
And even then, like I give my clients like very simple, I simplify the macro tracking process even further. So it's way more lifestyle friendly than, having them track every single thing. And I give them simple rules that I've worked out for clients, which makes the entire process a lot easier. And just, it makes them less neurotic over the whole thing. So I think there's me being very transparent is just because of the fact that I've had a lot of bad experiences in the past, and this just protects me. And,
it improves the experience for them as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because then they know what to expect. They know, if they email me at this point, I'm going to get back to them within 24 hours or whatever the case is. They need to have their reports in by this day. I do my check-ins on these days. If you don't hear from me within that time period, then feel free to email me and ask what's up. But please don't email me and say, hey, where's my report? Where's my report?
When it's still in that time period.
Exactly. So it's like, it's just like a lot of coaches will hear that and be like, oh my God, I can't believe you do that. I was like, I speak to my clients all the time and I Skype. I was like, I don't do Skype calls. I don't get on the phone with my clients. You don't get my WhatsApp.
Don't do your little weekly videos?
Nope. I don't do any of that stuff. Like, and when I tell some coaches that, like, huh?
Because you try to do that 70 times a week.
It's like, dude, I'm not doing and also I just think it's one of those things that sounds really nice, but
it's not practical.
In practice, it doesn't make sense. Also, if I'm a client,
change to their plan, it's like, what video was that?
Yeah, and also it's just like if a client, they can skim through the email, the weekly check-in email, and just get an idea of what needs to be done. Instead of watching a 15-minute video of me talking crap. Oh, it's just like,
well done, Sally.
Yeah. They don't give a fuck.
Just doing the same videos I done last week, but now I'm just
it's just like, look,
keep your macros the same.
Yeah, that's basically, it's just like, good work. You know, this has happened. Changes. Your diet's looking a lot more consistent. Let's get things down for now.
New training plan in place. This is what we're doing. We've increased frequency because
Exactly.
You said you wanted to bang.
And then you just skim through that. It's not, you know, it's just fine. I've never had one complaint from a client from that. Oh, well, you know, you don't, I hated I got amazing results, but I hated it because I didn't get weekly video calls. It's like, these are all things that I make very clear.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get my mobile number. You don't WhatsApp me. If you want to ask me a question, email me because it keeps everything neat and tidy.
Yeah.
Everything's in one place.
Yeah.
You know, 24-hour response time. I need to check my emails 11 a.m. Like, I'm very methodical about what I do and don't do. And if someone doesn't want to sign up after that,
fine,
cool.
There's other coaches out there that will give you more than their WhatsApp.
Yeah, cool. But you know, it's just one. But you know, it's one of the things where like, and this is that all of me arriving to the systems that I use today is all of a learning process over the last 3 or 4 years.
It's
you know,
an evolution of like that. I think this could work better. I think that could be more efficient.
Yeah, and even today, like
that takes me too much time. So how can I make that more efficient?
Yeah, and even till this day, I'm always trying to figure out how can we improve, not just make it more efficient for me, but also make it more efficient for the client. You know, make the experience better for the client as well. So yeah, but I just feel like sometimes, you know, I'll see people, you know, say things like, oh, you know, my gold package is this, but if you buy my diamond package, you get full access to me. And it's like, honestly, clients don't...
I'll cook your food and I'll eat it for you. I'll save your macros.
I think a lot of coaches...
That's what obviously approach I take, is I'll eat it for you.
I mean, slap it out of the hand.
Yeah.
You know, like those old MTV shows where they'd come and like coach you in your house.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just tell people, look, you're an adult, I'm an adult. I'm not here to babysit you. You know, this is what to expect from me. You know, like, I'm not going to send you motivational emails because for whatever reason, like, yeah, I'll help you out and try and give you some practical advice.
Yeah.
But if you think I'm going to, you know, spout some...
I'm not a motivational speaker.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not here to do that. That's not my, you know, like, go to a fucking Tony Robbins conference if you want to do that. Like, that's not what this coaching thing is. So, and actually what happens with that is you tend to, the people who sign up with you tend to be more serious about their goals. So you almost, you know...
And they get better results because they're more independent.
Yeah.
And they don't need spoon feeding.
Basically. And, you know, it's one of the things where a lot of coaches will be like, you know, they kind of play like the white knight. Like, oh, I'm going to save everyone. It's like, you can't. If someone doesn't want to change, there's nothing you can do that is going to make them change. Especially if you're
use every tactic and speak to them many times, but if they don't truly want it themselves, you don't get those results. And
so, and I'm just very open and transparent about, you know, that it's a process. If you have shitty habits today, it's going to take time for you to get the results. Don't talk to me about getting abs in 12 weeks if you're, you know, not willing to stop going out every weekend and getting smashed. You know, we can work around that to a certain degree, but you're going to, you know, expect progress to be slower. So these are choices that you have to make. Because I don't want to waste your time, and, you know, you shouldn't want to waste my time. And just having that agreement from them from the get-go, the buy-ins there, and a lot of people just appreciate just me being honest about, you know, the whole thing. And I've never had like a complaint from a client that, you know, because I've set the expectations from
standards. And this is what you'll get. This isn't what. If you want this, I'm not the person. So perfect. Right, we could go on for hours, and I know you've got something you're working on. So I want to wrap it up here, because that online coaching, that was good. Just going like setting the standards, rather than going, I'm going to give you everything, and I'm going to give you more this train. I'm going to give you more access, and it's still the same price or it's cheaper.
I think we'll just quickly go back to that. I think a lot of new coaches, you know, they think that's what is going to get them more clients, but it's
being
not.
More available.
It's what's actually going to get you more clients is actually just getting results. And what a lot of coaches will find out sooner or later is that most people don't give a fuck about all the little things that you think are so cool. Most people don't care. Most people just care. Are you giving me a plan that I like, that is sustainable, and that's making me, you know, get closer to my goals? If it's doing that, that's pretty much all that matters.
Perfect. But I want you back on when you're closer to your, because obviously we talked about one-to-one. I know you do group coaching. You're working on something that any marketer goes game changing. Like from what we said on the thing, it does sound like obviously has the potential, because as you said, you can take on 70 clients, but my goodness, your life, you don't have a life with that. You know, so obviously for online coaching, we've got different models. You obviously got the one-to-one premium one where you're charging more. You could do group coaching, which I know you do group coaching. You could do guides, you could have memberships. Like, there's many different models from, like, you don't have to just do one-to-one premium coaching. There's other models around that. So it'd be good to get you back on the podcast, talk a little bit more about the group coaching, and what you're sort of planning closer to time when it's available for sort of everyone to experience.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Adam, with 2 A's, the great Ali. Thank you for watching. If you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe. If you're listening to this on Spotify, iTunes, I think they can subscribe on all of them now, can't they?
I think so. I don't have Spotify, so
Apple Music.
Blasphemy, yeah.
Oh, right. It's because they give you 12 months free. And then they take out all of your monies. Anyway, thanks a lot, mate, and we'll catch up soon.
For sure.